Hey everybody, Rockin Robbie Billups here for Pop Culture Philosophers, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, the weekly comic book review is the show where I read a lot of comics and I let you know what I thought about them. And this week was a kind of a light week again. Slim pickings, but there was still some decent stuff out there that I could sort through and find to read. And we always start with the pick of the week. But before we get to that, I just want to point out the final issue of Black Speck. That's a comic book that I edited for Dance Panda Comics. Written by Lance Allen, L-Dubs, L.W. Allen, inked by Amanda Whitley, and penciled by Claudio Munoz, and edited by myself. Black Speck was a 3-issue sci-fi all-ages tale. It's available now, issue 3 on Comixology. I'll throw a link down below. Please check it out if you're inclined to do so. I think it's fantastic and awesome, and I love what Claudio and Lance and Amanda have done with the project. I think it looks gorgeous. I think it's a fun story, suitable for anybody. Teaches children to think outside of the box and that they are more than just a black speck, if that makes sense. Anyway, now it's time to start off with the pick of the week, and it is The Unstoppable Wasp, number 8. Now, unfortunately, The Unstoppable Wasp is not quite so unstoppable. This is the last issue, and it's one of the reasons why it stood out to me above the rest to make the pick of the week. Unstoppable Wasp, written by Jeremy Whitley, has been fantastic. It's been so good. The character of Nadia Pym, now Nadia Van Dyne, yeah, they're kind of tying it in maybe a little bit to maybe what's trying to go on in the movie or whatever, but I love the character of Nadia. She's amazing. She comes from the Red Room, the same place Black Widow was brought up and trained, right? They teach these kids from a very young age to be cold-blooded assassins, and she comes out of this world of abuse, and she is just the most hopeful and charismatic character that the Marvel Universe has right now. She is inspirational, and this issue just cements that. This run was fantastic. It was amazing. I cannot say enough good things about this book. I've loved it so much. It was one of my absolute favorite Marvel books. And like all of my favorite Marvel books, it's sad to see it go on and on. But anyway, Nadia is going to be in Avengers and Champions. She's in Secret Empire right now, so you will still get some Nadia, but this was a nice little tie-up to the series. It was nice that they gave the writer Whitley a whole issue just to wrap up things and kind of set her position up for the Marvel Universe. And that was really, really cool. No giant superhero fights, no superhero action whatsoever, but a nice story where Janet, it's the second part of a Janet narrated story, in the final issue of the series, where it really just delicately sets everything up, and I loved it so much. It was a great coda to the series as a whole. So thank you, Marvel. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Elsa, and all the other artists from this book. You guys have done an amazing and fantastic job. Thank you guys so much. Also from Marvel this week, Generations starts. That's right, Generations is kind of like the appetizer to Marvel Legacy. Something is going to happen at the end of Secret Empire, it seems. It's going to fling various heroes to various points in time and space where they will meet the previous incarnations of their power set, of their character. You get what I'm saying? So, new Thor meets old Thor, new Cap meets old Cap, stuff like that, right? This is the first issue of the 10-issue weekly series, and it focuses on Amadeus Cho's Totally Awesome Hulk meeting the OG Bruce Banner Incredible Hulk, and it was all right. It's written by Greg Pak, and it's got artwork by Matteo Pufagni, maybe. Artwork was really, really good, very solid in this book. I thought it was really, really good, especially for a Hulk book. Detailed, dark, the glowing eyes, the coloring on this book was amazing as well, and that is Dono Sanchez Alamara. So this book artistically was amazing. Story-wise, it's all right. It's typical. If you're a huge fan of the Hulk, you will like this. It's a nice little throwback to the old-school Hulk-type stories. Well, and I used to really be annoyed by Amadeus Cho, Totally Awesome Hulk, and now I actually like the character, and I'm excited to pick up Incredible Hulk 70, whatever it is, 709, I think, yeah. 709 when it comes in for Marvel Legacy. So it did get me excited for Hulk in Marvel Legacy, if that makes sense. But we shall see what exactly Cho's role will be and if there is a Banner in the future, possibly. But all in all, it was kind of fun. It was cool. Didn't really feel super impactful, but it did feel like it gave out a little bit of the theme that Hulk was going to take in Marvel Legacy. So that was really, really cool. Also from Marvel this week, Hawkeye #9, which is officially, at this exact moment, my favorite Marvel comic being published. I love this book. Kelly Thompson is the writer. Leonardo Romero is the artist. I adore this book. It's great. Kate Bishop is an amazing character. She's really cool. She's adorable. She's very likable and even very relatable, even though she used to be a snotty, rich young lady, right? But this book is amazing. It's really good. The story in here is really cool. Kind of wraps some things up. But like most, Hawkeye is very much a typical classic superhero book. So if you're looking for that classic Marvel feel, go no further than Hawkeye. You got subplots within subplots, single issue stories that unfold and develop into further stories, and just everything is beginning and ending all at the same time. It's just a great juggle that Kelly Thompson does with her script. Love it. The characterization is spot on. The artwork is crisp, clean, and just perfectly suited for the tone of this series. The characters are amazing and fun, and the book is really, really engaging. So Hawkeye, if you have not read it, you definitely need to, because this is just one of Marvel's best books out there, in my opinion. Black Bolt #4. I picked this up because Saladin Ahmed has been writing this Black Bolt book. Christian Ward has been doing the artwork, and this book started off really, really good, and it started getting inconsistent. Now, in this issue, the artwork is amazing. The colors especially. They're vibrant. They're really cool. They're that like retro 80s neon type feel. Really cool stuff that I just totally dig on, right? Story-wise, it's okay. It is the setup of what should be a really, really cool story, but it does get boggled down by a whole bunch of exposition. Most of this issue is them just telling you, and a little bit of showing you, the origin of the Absorbing Man. And it's basically Black Bolt and Absorbing Man kind of stuck in a situation, and they're killing some time telling each other their stories, but it's mostly Absorbing Man telling his story and how Black Bolt kind of relates it to his story. I don't know. When Black Bolt has his own book, and I'm like, he's going to speak or he's going to have narration, and it just seems like that's going to take away some of the mystery of the character that is so appealing to me. And I feel like this series has done that. I'm not saying it jumped the shark. The artwork is still really solid in this book, especially with the coloring. But there's some moments in here, especially some weak dialogue, and especially some really just kind of weak, poorly timed and paced jokes. At least in my opinion. Story has gone down for me in this. It's not going to change your life, but the artwork is a spotlight for that, for sure. Christian Ward's doing amazing stuff there. Darth Vader #4. So this is the second Darth Vader series from Marvel. The first one by Karen Gillan was really, really good. This one, not as good, but it's still decent. It's okay. Vader, this is basically year one. It's right after Anakin has killed the Jedi and helped form the Empire and is just now becoming Darth Vader. This first story is how he gets his lightsaber. So that's kind of cool. The Jedi that he meets up, or the person that he meets up to fight in this, it's just really, really cool. You think Vader has his ass handed to him, but then Vader proves how cool he is. And even at times it may be like, that seems a little intricate, but I don't know. Overall, it's still fun. Vader is BA in this book. It's not as good as the previous run, but we are just 4 issues in, but it's good, it's solid. It is a good, solid, fun comic book, especially for Darth Vader fans, absolutely. From DC, celebrating Jack Kirby's 100th birthday. By the way, we got a Jack Kirby 100th birthday podcast coming up very, very soon. Be on the lookout for that. But they're doing a series of specials on Jack Kirby's creations throughout August. The first one is here, New God Special. So it is written, the first story is written and drawn by Shane Davis, and it's not going to change your life, but it is a giant, explosive, crazy story focusing on a battle between Orion and Calabac. So it has a lot of the essence of the action of the Kirby New God stuff from back in the 70s, but it's not as delicate, right? It's not as mythological. It's still there, but it's an imitation of it. It's an homage. And it's really fun as an homage to Jack Kirby's New Gods. It is super, super fun. If you're a New Gods fan at all, I highly encourage you to check this out. If you're a Kirby fan, you're going to love it too. They also have a Young Orion story by Walt Simonson. That will throw you back to Walt Simonson's Orion comic book that he had back in the day that I used to just adore. Well, actually, one of my first entries into the world of the New Gods was Simonson, so that was really cool. So it was really cool to see that. Plus, they have an old school Jack Kirby stuff, backups and pinups in the back. All in all, really fun to celebrate Jack Kirby and what would be his 100th birthday this month. I love Jack Kirby so much. The comic book community owes so much to him. And this book is just such a celebration of that. It's really fun. I'm really looking forward to the other ones coming out. We also have Batman number 28, which is part 3, the official part 3 of the War of Jokes and Riddles. The story to me is okay. It's like the story that Tom King is doing in here is really, really cool, but he doesn't really show you the right moments from it. If you read this, I think that might make some sense to you. The artwork by Janin is awesome and really, really cool. But I just don't know. I think this is just a thin concept for a story. I'm not really digging Tom King's Batman that much. This story is I don't know. It's not really my favorite stuff, but I will point out that Neil Adams variant cover is dope. That's really, really cool. Green Lanterns number 28 came out this week. I actually love this book. It's super fun. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to win any Eisners or anything like that. But it's a good, fun buddy cop type story with really great characterization and really intriguing sci-fi concepts. And so if you're a fan of any kind of the Green Lantern story, you're going to want to be reading this because they're dealing with the first Lantern. They're dealing with the very first 7 Green Lanterns. And you see the very first 7 Green Lanterns that ever existed in this issue. And it is fun and it's cool. It's logical. It's silly. It's explosive. It's comic book, superhero, space opera awesomeness at its finest. And that's what Green Lanterns is, and that's what it continues to be. Superman number 28 comes out today with the conclusion of this Declaration story, which is basically a very teachy/preachy homage to the nation's, the United States military history, our soldiers, the sacrifice. It was kind of like a 4th of July type story. Now we're a month after the Independence Day holiday here in America, but it's all right. It's trite. It's silly, but it does have some meaningful stuff in it. It just comes across like this is like a public service announcement, and that's okay. But I'm throwing down $3 for a Superman comic. Come on, guys, man. You couldn't do this just in 1 issue. You had to stretch it out into 2. So I can't really justify telling you guys to pick up Superman this week, but it is pretty fun, and it's okay. It's a neat little history lesson. I should say that. So there you go. Shade the Changing Girl number 11 has become my second favorite DC Young Animal book. I actually don't really like Cave Carson that much anymore, and I don't really like Mother Panic, but I love Doom Patrol and Shade the Changing Girl. This is one of the best issues yet. This is really intriguing. Everything's really starting to come together in this very weird, zany, psychedelic comic book that is just so cool and trippy, and it has beautiful language, beautiful use of language and poetry in here, and it's really cool how all these different narrations meld together with a very simple, flat art style. Really doing a good job on Shade the Changing Girl. It's about to hit a hiatus coming September, but this whole storyline is really, really cool, and it's building up to something might be kind of big, or at least big for this comic book series. So I'm loving it, still loving it, highly recommend it. Some new ones have come out from other publishers. From Boom Studios, we got Mech Cadet U by writer Greg Pak, who did that Hulk, the Generations Hulk meets Hulk type thing, right? So Mech Cadet U is kind of like a blending of Iron Giant and Neon Genesis Evangelion, if that makes sense to you, right? So in a world where mechs just come from the sky and they choose people, cadets, to be heroes and take on, and then someone maybe who's not quite supposed to be a cadet gets chosen, and it's this whole boy-robot friendship, but battlesuit mech warrior thing, and one of the mechs you see at the end in here even really looks like one of the Avas from Neon Genesis. So if you're a fan of that type stuff, you might want to check this out. There's also a Robotech book out this week written by Brian Wood, but I didn't check it out because I was never really a Robotech guy. But Mech Cadet U was okay. It's not really good if you're not just necessarily a huge fan of this, mech warrior type story. If you're a fan of that, you might like this. Otherwise, it's very brisk, very quick. It has a little bit of a hook, but not a good enough hook to really want to bring you to the next issue. But if you're a fan of things like all that robot fighting type stuff, you're going to definitely like this if you're a mech fan. So check that out. Turok number 1 comes from Dynamite. They have been killing it with Magnus. I have loved Magnus so much. What is the reimagining of Turok like? Not as good as the Magnus one, but still very, very good. And I really liked it. It's not as in-depth as Magnus, but it is very solid. It's a very fun, solid comic book. Really cool story. Turok is basically this dude. He's stuck in this world that's all these times live in this one space, and it's ruled by these reptilian overlords and he's trying to fight for freedom or going after something. There were backup stories in some of the previous Dynamite Sovereigns. Sovereigns is kind of like this whole line where they're putting these old Gold Key type characters together. So there was like some backup stories that led into this. I missed that and I felt like I missed something, so that was unfortunate. I'm sure that will be collected in the trade. But this is a good, fun, solid story. If you liked Tour Art back in the day, I highly encourage you to check this out. It's not bad, it's really good, and it's really fun, so check it out. From Image Comics, we have Elsewhere #1. It comes from writer Jay Farber, who does Copperhead, a comic book I absolutely adore. And Sumeye Kesgin is the artist, and the art is really, really cool. But I really want to talk about Ron Riley's colors. They're absolutely amazing in this book. And this book is a very simple concept. Amelia Earhart wound up on some other world, some fantastic other alien possible world where crazy things are all around that she doesn't understand, and she's just thrown into the middle of this epic fantasy saga. And it's pretty decent. The artwork is good and solid. The coloring is amazing. The writing is crisp and clean. Exactly what you expect from Jay Farber, especially from Copperhead. Really good, fun, solid book. And this Jonathan Hickman cover is amazing. Image is doing a whole series of these Jonathan Hickman covers where Hickman was consigned to do these covers, and they're just fantastic. Elsewhere was cool, and it's my Image pick of the week for sure. From Devil's Due First Comics, we got Lark's Killer #1. I read this because it's a fantasy comic from Bill Willingham. Bill Willingham created Fables, and Fables was actually a pretty cool series from back in the day in Vertigo at DC. And so I decided I would check this out, and it wasn't really quite what I was looking for, not really quite what I needed, what I was wanting. It's got really, really cool artwork from Mark Dos Santos. The artwork is actually really cool, and at times it's really done in such a really cool way, kind of the bookends in the issue. But overall, it wasn't quite engaging enough for me. Didn't really do anything for me, so I can't really highly recommend that one at all. Now let's go on to Dynamite again, Atari Comics, Swordquest #2. I've been really impressed with the Swordquest comic book, and issue 2 is not as impressive as issue 0 and issue 1 was. It gets a little bit more out of reality and into more of what I might have thought this comic book would be, but it's still very intriguing, and it definitely kept me interested in wanting to read this comic book further. This whole idea of taking the real life quest, the Sword Quest was this video game for Atari. They never finished it, and I did all this research just looking it all up, and like it was just crazy. They gave out these prizes, but they didn't give out all of them, and just look it up. Look up the whole Sword Quest thing. There was supposed to be a final game called Air Quest, never came out. This teases Air Quest for the future. That's really exciting. I didn't really play Sword Quest or anything like that back in the day, but just the whole idea of the game and the mystery, because it was a contest and they never finished it, and now they're tying it into a real world story with fantastical elements, and that's kind of interesting. So Sword Quest is still worth your time. And finally, let's talk about Injection #14. I love this book, but at times I get confused. I need to go back and reread it. Of course, we're about to wrap up the 3rd arc, and it's gone on a hiatus for a while, so there's plenty of time to get caught up. But even though at times I still felt like I am forgetting what's happened before, this issue really just turned it all up. Like seriously, by the end of this issue, if you've been reading this series, you get so excited and just tense, and it's just, oh, stuff's about to happen, it's about to go down. Warren Ellis Injection is amazing. You should read it. So that's what I read this week. That's what I thought about it. What did you guys read? What did you think about it? Let me know down below. Love talking to you guys in the comments down below about comic books. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. Please do check us out at popculturephilosophers.com for podcast blogs, top 5 lists, and a whole lot more. And support us on Patreon. We got really cool announcements about to come out, so check out our Patreon page. Help support us, get some perks, join our community. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and keep on reading.